Let me ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with yourself right now. How many years have you been studying English grammar? 1 year? 3 years? Maybe 5? Or even 10? You know the rules. You studied the tenses. You memorized when to use will and when to use going to. You learned the difference between the present perfect and the simple past. You filled notebooks. You passed tests. And yet, and this is the part that probably hurts, when someone walks up to you and starts a real conversation in English, something happens. Your mind goes blank. Your throat tightens. The words you studied for years suddenly disappear like they were never there at all. And you stand there, smiling, nodding, pretending you understood, when deep inside you are thinking, why? Why can I not speak? I studied so hard. I want you to know something before we go any further. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not slow. You are not bad at languages. You are not someone who simply cannot learn English. The problem is not you. The problem is the method. And today, right now, we are going to expose exactly why grammar study is quietly destroying your ability to speak, and more importantly, what you should be doing instead. Stay with me, because what I am about to share with you is going to change the way you see English learning forever. Here is something that most English teachers will never tell you. Grammar rules were not designed to help you speak. They were designed to help academics describe language on paper. Think about that for a second. Linguists and researchers needed a way to explain how English works, so they created labels. They called things past perfect continuous and subjunctive mood and modal auxiliary verbs. These are descriptive tools. They are labels put on something that already existed. The problem is that somewhere along the way, language schools decided that teaching these labels to students was the same as teaching students how to speak. It is not. It has never been. And here is the proof. Right now, there are millions of people around the world who speak English fluently, naturally, and confidently, who cannot name a single grammar rule. They could not tell you what a gerund is. They have no idea what passive voice means. They never studied verb conjugation charts. But they speak. They speak smoothly. They speak freely. They speak without fear. How? Because they learned English the same way every human being on this planet learned their first language. Not through rules, through listening, through patterns, through repetition of real living language. And that is exactly the path we are going to talk about today. Now, I want you to think back to when you were a small child, learning to speak your native language. Did your mother sit you down with a textbook? Did she say, okay, today we are going to study the rules of subject-verb agreement? Of course not. No parent does that. What happened instead is something incredibly powerful and completely natural. You were surrounded by language every single day. You heard the same words repeated in the same situations over and over. When you were hungry, the people around you said certain words. When it was time to sleep, they said certain words. When something was funny, they laughed and spoke. When something was wrong, their voice changed and you heard different words. You were not studying. You were absorbing. You were soaking the language up through your ears, through context, through emotion, through repetition. And after enough exposure, something almost magical happened. Your mouth started to move, not because you understood the rules, because the patterns had become so familiar inside your brain that your brain simply knew what came next. This is called language acquisition, and it is the only proven method that produces real, natural fluency in any language on earth. The grammar classroom approach does not produce this. It produces test scores, and test scores do not talk. So, let me now introduce you to the method that does work. It is called listening and shadowing. And once you understand how it works, you will never look at English learning the same way again. Listening and shadowing has two connected parts, and together they create something extraordinary inside your brain. The first part is deep listening, not passive listening, not background noise, but focused, intentional, repeated listening to natural English spoken by real speakers. This means listening to the same content again and again until your ears are not just hearing the words, but feeling the rhythm, feeling how one word flows into the next, feeling where the voice rises and falls, feeling the speed, the pauses, the natural music of the language. When you do this consistently, something begins to shift. Your brain starts to build an internal library of real English patterns. Not rules written on paper, but living, breathing patterns stored in your memory like music you have heard so many times you can hum it without thinking. The second part is shadowing. This is where the transformation becomes physical. Shadowing means listening to a speaker and repeating what they say almost at the exact same time, like an echo. You are not translating. You are not thinking about grammar. You are simply copying the sound, the rhythm, the melody, the exact shape of the words as closely as you can. Your mouth is moving. Your voice is working. Your brain is connecting sound to muscle memory. And this is critical because speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth, your tongue, your throat, your breath, they all need training, just like a musician trains their fingers or an athlete trains their legs. Grammar study does not train your mouth. Shadowing does. And when you combine deep listening with daily shadowing, something remarkable begins to happen. Your speaking stops feeling like a translation exercise and starts feeling like something natural. The words start to come before you even have time to think about them. That is fluency, real fluency. Not the kind you perform on a test, the kind you feel in your body. Now, I want to be honest with you about something because I respect you too much to pretend this is going to be effortless. The beginning of this process can feel strange and even a little frustrating. When you first start shadowing, it will feel awkward. You will feel like you are just making noise, like a parrot repeating sounds you do not fully understand. That discomfort is real, and I am not going to tell you to ignore it. But here's what I need you to understand about that discomfort. It is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that your brain is doing something new, and new things always feel uncomfortable before they feel natural. Think about the first time you rode a bicycle. Your body did not know how to balance. You wobbled. You probably fell. You definitely felt like you were doing it wrong. But you kept going. And then something clicked. Your body remembered. And after that, you did not think about balance anymore. You just rode. Shadowing works the same way. The awkward phase is not a wall. It is a door. And every single day that you push through it, you are getting closer to the other side, where speaking English feels as natural as breathing. So do not run from the discomfort. Ride it, use it. It is proof that you are growing. Let me now tell you specifically what to listen to and how to shadow, because the right material makes an enormous difference. This is one of the biggest mistakes learners make when they try this method on their own. They pick content that is too difficult, too fast, or too formal, and then they feel like the method is not working, when really the problem is just the material. Here is the rule. Your listening material should be slightly above your current level, but not so far above it that you are lost. You should be able to understand roughly 60 to 70% of what you hear without stopping. If you understand less than that, the content is too hard. If you understand all of it without any effort, it is too easy. That sweet spot, 60 to 70%, is where your brain is most engaged, most curious, and most ready to learn. In terms of content type, start with short, clear, natural conversations. Podcasts designed for English learners are excellent. Short interview clips, casual YouTube conversations, storytelling videos with clear audio all work very well. Avoid textbook recordings that sound robotic. Avoid overly formal speeches. You want real human language with real rhythm, real hesitations, real contractions, real emotion. That is the English your brain needs to absorb. Once you have found your material, here is how to shadow it effectively. First, listen all the way through once without stopping. Just let it wash over you. Get a feel for the overall meaning and mood. Second, listen again. This time pausing every one or two sentences. Repeat what you heard out loud as closely as possible. Do not worry about perfection. Focus on the sound and the rhythm. Third, listen a third time while reading a transcript if one is available. Notice how the written words connect to what you heard. And fourth, on your fourth and fifth listens, shadow in real time. Play the audio and speak simultaneously, following the speaker like a shadow. Do this every day for 20 to 30 minutes, and within weeks, not months, you will begin to notice a profound shift in how English feels when it comes out of your mouth. Now, there is something I want to address directly, because I know it is sitting in the back of your mind right now. You might be thinking, but what about mistakes? If I do not study grammar, won't I speak with a lot of errors? And this is such an important question. Here is the truth. Yes, in the beginning, you will make mistakes. And those mistakes are not a problem. They are a necessary and valuable part of the process. Every fluent speaker of every language made thousands of mistakes on the way to fluency. The difference between people who eventually speak well and people who stay stuck is not that one group made fewer mistakes. It is that one group kept speaking in spite of the mistakes, while the other group let the fear of mistakes stop them from speaking at all. Here is something even more important. When you learn through listening and shadowing, your errors naturally decrease over time without you consciously correcting them. Why? Because your brain is constantly comparing what you say to what you have heard. And when there is a mismatch, your brain notices it, not because you studied a rule, but because it does not sound right to you. You have heard the correct version so many times that the wrong version feels off. This is how native speakers self-correct. Not by consulting a grammar book, by feel, by ear, by instinct, built through thousands of hours of listening. And you can build that same instinct. You are building it right now, just by listening to this. Let us talk about confidence, because this is the hidden heart of everything we have discussed. You have probably noticed that confidence is the thing that separates the people who speak English from the people who want to speak English. And here is what most people get backwards about confidence. They think confidence is something you need before you speak. So they wait, they study more. They tell themselves, when my English is good enough, I will start speaking. But good enough never comes, because confidence does not come before speaking. Confidence comes from speaking. It is built one small act at a time. Every time you open your mouth and say something in English, even something simple, even something imperfect, you are depositing a coin into your confidence account. And those coins add up, slowly at first, then faster. Then suddenly you realize you are speaking, and you are not afraid. That is not an accident. That is the result of every small act of courage you chose to take. And the listening and shadowing method accelerates this process because it trains your mouth to move before your brain has a chance to second guess itself. The patterns are already there. The sounds are already familiar. Your body knows what to do. And when your body knows what to do, the fear has nowhere to live. I want to give you a concrete plan right now, something you can start today, not someday, not when you feel more ready, but today. Here is your action plan for the next 30 days. In the first week, find one piece of audio content that you enjoy and that sits in that 60 to 70% comprehension zone, something between 10 and 15 minutes long. Listen to it 3 times on day 1. Just listen. Get comfortable with the voice, the rhythm, the flow. On day 2, start pausing and repeating sentences out loud. Do not rush. Take your time with each sentence. On day 3 and day 4, begin shadowing in real time for short bursts, 30 seconds to 1 minute at a time. On day 5, 6, and 7, shadow the entire piece from beginning to end. Notice how much more comfortable it feels compared to day 1. In the second week, add a second piece of content. Keep revisiting the first one too. Your brain benefits enormously from re-listening to familiar material. It is not boring. It is building. In the third and fourth weeks, start speaking about your own life using the patterns you have absorbed. Talk about your morning. Talk about your work. Talk about something that happened to you out loud in English, even if no one is listening. Record yourself if you can. Play it back. You will be surprised by how much more natural you already sound. That is 30 days, 1 month. And if you do this with real commitment, real daily action, you will feel a shift that no grammar textbook could ever give you. Here is the final thing I want to leave with you, and I want you to carry this thought with you long after this video ends. Language is not a subject. Language is not a set of rules printed in a book. Language is alive. It breathes, it moves, it lives in the mouths and the hearts of the people who use it. And the only way to truly claim a language as your own is to let it live inside you, not on a page. Every great English speaker you have ever admired, every confident, natural, effortless speaker you have ever heard and thought to yourself, I wish I could speak like that, did not get there by memorizing grammar charts. They got there by listening, by repeating, by speaking without waiting for permission, by choosing again and again to show up and try. And you can do exactly the same thing. Not someday, not when you feel ready. Now, because now is always the right time to begin. You have been waiting long enough. You have been studying rules long enough. You have been standing at the edge of this language, watching other people swim in it, when what you need to do is jump. The water is fine. Your voice is ready. And everything you need to speak English, to really speak it with confidence and with flow and with joy, is already inside you. It just needs to be woken up. And that is exactly what we are going to keep doing together. So if this message landed in your heart today, if something shifted even slightly in the way you see your own English journey, then do one thing right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Open your mouth and say something, anything. One sentence, out loud, because that one sentence is not just a sentence. It is the beginning of a new version of you, one that speaks, one that connects, one that is no longer afraid. I will see you in the next video. Keep going. You are closer than you think.